All right, ladies and gentlemen, MrSotko here. Welcome back to the channel. Got a whole bunch of good crypto news stuff for you today. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the falling prices and where we may end up. So I've been saying probably back to 7,300, and there's a lot of reasons for that, or at least somewhere above that. Now, it's hard to say, of course, with Bitcoin where the price is going to end up, and I'm going to kind of explain why that is because TA in crypto, while a lot of people follow it, it doesn't always work exactly the way you plan it. Maybe TA never does, even in the stock market, but at least in the stock market, people typically have followed that same TA pattern for a very long time, and it's of course also based on if Apple or the S&P or various corporations are bringing out new products or doing well that year, revenue, etc., up, down, left, right, a mix of things, but at least quantifiable things, whereas Bitcoin is just a currency, and it's hard to determine when something good or bad is going to happen. Also, another thing that's been interesting in the crypto world is that the news lately hasn't affected the price that much. Now, ironically, I have a news article of what affected the price recently, but for the most part, the price used to be affected by good news and bad news almost on a weekly basis, and I was a part of that very intimately with my YouTube channel, I suppose, with always casting the news, I guess. So we can see here that we have had these lower and lower dips ever since we sort of topped out at 10,400, although that was a shadow. So if a shadow candle. So if you want to just say, 95, 9,600, we can call it even there. But either way, the selling opportunity was still all the way up there. Now, we can see the lower and lower dips as we're going along, and these are always powered by whales themselves. And I know that's always an excuse. Oh, the whales are out to get us. But we can ride that whale in the ocean up and down, as long as you have a scuba tank, I suppose. And they make actually really good trading opportunities. My last sell was right about here at 9,700 and something like $30-some. And that was an excellent time. Now, of course, I missed this giant candle up here, but it was quite ephemeral either way. But so it was a pretty good sale. So I'm actually pretty excited for the price to be going down because I can buy in greater than what I had. And let me just show you the volume to give you an idea. So up in the top right corner there, at least of the price chart, you can see that it says V, which is for volume. Who would have thought? And we can see that volume. Now I have the 6-hour candle chart up on GDAX, and it actually, or at least Coinbase Pro now, I'm still calling it GDAX even after a couple of years. And we can see, I think it makes a lot more sense on the 15-minute chart, but for now we're going to show the 6-hour. And you can see the volume anywhere from 1,000 to 2,400 Bitcoin, 500 Bitcoin in that 6-hour period. Now, of course, this is just on Coinbase Pro. And across the whole market, of course, there was much more volume. But it just goes to show that when we have these long candles, it's now 12,967 Bitcoin. And these long candles here, 17,000, 32,000. And then we go back to non-whale status of just a few thousand in a 6-hour period. And so that just... let's just say that not everybody at once all decided to buy or sell 32,000 Bitcoin at once. Nobody is in communication like that. These are individuals or a group of individuals buying a huge amount at once, and then of course causing a rally of other people to jump in as well that weren't associated with them, just average traders. Again, you can kind of see a little bit better in the 15 minutes here. 29, 31 Bitcoin, 17 Bitcoin over a 15-minute period, and then you get these long candles of just suddenly 300 or 1,200 Bitcoin. And what can you learn about that? Well, so lately we've seen these big ups and downs in the market, and then with a long period of just pretty much trading sideways and nothing too special going on. So I advise everyone, at least take into consideration the fact that we go up and we go down by significant amounts, and you just have the patience to wait a month at a time and make one big trade or two per month, and it's actually somewhat somewhat profitable doing that. Very profitable depending on how much you have. Right now, I think we are on our way to 7,300. Maybe not 7,300 because this was pretty, again, ephemeral. This was only over the course of a few days. The 23rd, it dumped, and it was only really 74, 7,300-ish for just a couple days real quick until the whales bought in again. And we can see this again and again and again with shorting, and then they sell a bunch, and then they short, or somebody dumps tens of thousands of Ethereum on one single exchange. Nobody would really do that in their right mind without some kind of agenda behind that. And I'm not saying it's some kind of malicious agenda. It's just a self-serving agenda of, hey, I can dump a bunch of Ethereum or Bitcoin on this market and then short it or leverage on a different market that calculates the previous market that I just dumped a bunch on, and poof, my short is successful. And if you look at the charts and you go back, you can see numerous months where the last Friday of every month, of course, CME futures dump at the end of every month. That's when CME futures expire. And again, those are cash traded, so they have nothing to do with the Bitcoin price. But what you have to agree on is that there is a lot of incentive to dump or pump Bitcoin to fulfill your short on the CME markets or various other markets or leverage, etc., so that you can sort of get a double whammy in there, if you will, in the sense that if you buy a bunch of Bitcoin and you had a long going on, well, who would have thought your long is now successful? Or if you short and you dump a bunch of Bitcoin, and so on and so on, and you can get the money from doing that. And as long as you do that right, and you have a lot of money to do that, then it's pretty successful. So again, at the end of every month, the last Friday is when they expire, and that's when you see extreme volatility. If you just go back in the charts and just take a look at the last Friday of every month, this entire year, and you'll notice a pattern. Now, a couple of months don't correlate exactly, but typically about 5 days before the last Friday of every month, there is a big dump. And that has happened over and over and over again, particularly in 2019. So the reason why I say that we're going to 7,900 or lower is that the last Friday of the month is coming up in just a couple weeks, and when there's about 5 days before that Friday, we should see a dump down somewhere near here. Now, again, this was sort of a fluke all the way down here, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen again, but I would expect 7,900 or less. So if you are a trader, swing trader, etc., I would have some kind of buy order down there, or at the very least be looking at the markets as if people in crypto don't do that enough as it is. So again, there's another article that talks about it. Bitcoin, huge risk of crashing back down to 7,300. With the first half of 2019 brought back a lot of investors with fresh optimism. And Bitcoin peaked in July around 13,600, which represented a $10,000 increase from the beginning of the year. However, those were hoping that the coin would continue surging through the second half of the year were left disappointed. The current shape of the Bitcoin market is not very comforting, especially since the coin currently sits below 200 EMA and SMA. This is a certain consistency with the coin's price going lower since its peak, despite occasional brief surges, which again, I kind of, if you ask yourself, well, why are the surges afterwards? And I think it's just, again, the future is expiring at the end of the month. Why not short it? I figure that's your best bet if you have a lot of money. Why not just dump a bunch of Bitcoin, have a short ready with the CME futures, which are essentially just speculative futures. They're just based on US dollar. They're based on the Bitcoin price, but you pay in US dollar, you get paid in US dollar. I like to sum it up as a horse race bet. You're just betting on the horse to win. You're not getting a horse at the end of the race. You are just getting money or you are losing money. And that is what the CME futures is about. It's just cash backed, cash settled. And so, if you're shorting, you're getting that bonus of cash and you're getting the bonus of selling all the Bitcoin. So now you have a bunch of money and you can rebuy in 5-6 days after they expire. And that's what we've seen. We've seen these pumps right after the end of the month, at the beginning of the month, and then a dump towards the end of the month over and over. So again, Bitcoin's currently below the 200 EMA and SMA, and if it closes the daily like this, there's a huge risk that it will dump down to 7,300. Now, again, I don't like to give exact specifics, but I have suggested 7,300 in the past few days or so as well, and it seems pretty logical. Now, I would have a more broader guess of just somewhere below 7,900, which is going to be good for anybody that is currently sitting on, fiat or stable coins. So moving on from that, in the news, OneCoin founder's brother faces 90-year jail term after the plea deal. And OneCoin was a Ponzi scheme. It is alleged to be the biggest Ponzi scheme possibly ever created, and likely much larger than BitConnect as well, if that's hard to believe. Now, what's interesting and somewhat ironic about OneCoin is that I honestly never heard of OneCoin before or after, long after BitConnect. So I think OneCoin was actually before BitConnect. I'm not sure on it exactly. For some reason, it just wasn't in the news that much, or at least I just passed it up. And I've been doing this for 2 years now, before BitConnect actually went under, and still never heard of it. But again, one of the worst Ponzi schemes ever. So Konstantin Ignatov, for his involvement in OneCoin, who is the brother of the crypto queen, of the colloquially called crypto queen, is facing up to 90 years in prison, although he did a plea deal which will stop any additional charges against him. But still, what additional charges would it even matter if you have upwards of a 90-year sentence anyway? But good for you. Go for the plea, I guess, but you costed a lot of people money, so you're going to jail either way. Still, the crypto queen, his sister, who apparently started it, is still not found, whereas the brother was arrested in the Los Angeles airport. OneCoin raised some $4 billion for its cryptocurrency and proprietary ecosystem in funding in what governments called a Ponzi scheme. Makes sense. OneCoin denies these allegations and continues to operate. The BBC said Ignatov could be moved into the U.S. Witness Protection Program depending on the longevity of his sentence. Court documents say individuals have come forward with threats against him, which, makes sense with a Ponzi scheme. While testifying in another ongoing case against Mark Scott, a U.S. lawyer accused of laundering funds for $400 million from OneCoin, Ignatov revealed more details about his sister. The BBC said a warrant for her arrest from the DOJ is currently outstanding, and they don't really quite know where she is at the moment. So moving on to, again, the news that I said was somewhat ironic, and how that news lately hasn't really affected the prices of things that much. In fact, there was the Swell conference for XRP, which traditionally in the past couple years has raised the price of XRP significantly before the event, and then once the event was over, it started to dump, and there's numerous charts that show that, and you can just sort of go back and find that yourself. In this case, it did not. And many other examples in where the news has had less effect on the crypto world. There is still always the buy the rumor, sell the news type thing, which when the news comes out, the price typically dumps, which is always sort of a possibly a good idea to prepare yourself for. So Verge pumps on the news of Pornhub abandoning PayPal. So in case you haven't heard the news, PayPal stopped its partnership, I guess, with Pornhub, in that the models on Pornhub could be paid via PayPal with your subscriptions or your donations. Honestly, not sure how it works. I know everyone's like, oh, yeah, right. But, I mean, who gets a subscription to pornography? I don't know. To each his own. But either way, they abandoned over 100,000 Pornhub models from PayPal, which is big for cryptocurrency. In fact, there was a lot of the models were interviewed in other news, and they had never heard of Bitcoin, or they don't know how to use Bitcoin. And PayPal has set up a direct bank transfer for these paid models, who can just send that money directly to their bank account. So most of them will probably just end up doing that. However, Verge had a partnership with Pornhub and pumped in the meantime because of that. I would argue that Bitcoin would probably be a better source for this, as Verge has just always been a shitcoin. It's always been very shady. In case you guys don't know that, or you're like, wait, Verge is shady? Just look at the news in the past. Just look at my channel in the past on Verge. There's been plenty of controversy with Verge, but the utility of a crypto coin was only an exotic option at that point when they started their partnership, when Verge started the partnership. And really, they started the partnership with MindGeek, who controls like the ads and subscription revenue, etc., for Pornhub and various other sites like that. And you could pay for your subscription with Verge, which I argued, good adoption, that's great and all, but who is going to go out and learn cryptocurrency, get a wallet, put money onto an exchange, wait 7 days, then buy it, then send the money from the Verge from either directly from the exchange or to a wallet and then directly to Pornhub? I feel like that's just giving yourself way too many additional steps when you could have just pulled out your credit card the whole time. Now, anonymity would be a factor in that. Maybe you don't want to use your credit card because you don't want somebody finding out on the bill. But at the same time, how are you going to say, oh, well, I bought Verge coin with an exchange? Then you're just going to have to explain that to somebody at the same time. So I argue it's not particularly censored in that way, unless you were a minor and then you transferred it to Verge or something like that. Fair enough. But again, you can see that it's a lot of steps when I could have just pulled out my credit card to buy a subscription. Now, again, I don't mean to bash adoption, because adoption is adoption, and I do support cryptocurrency adoption. So good for Verge, but at the same time, it does seem like there is an inherent hassle in cryptocurrency at the moment with the current technology and current on-ramps, off-ramps, that if you want to buy something in crypto, if you are a miner, now that's not a problem because you have your computer or your GPUs, et cetera, running and creating some kind of cryptocurrency with proof of work, and then you take that and you buy something with it. Fair enough. But if you don't have any cryptocurrency, I feel like that is where the inherent problem comes in. If I want to buy something in Bitcoin, like let's say, I think Newegg still offers Bitcoin services. You can buy things through BitPay, but so if I want to buy something specifically in Bitcoin, I'm going to have to pull out my credit card, go to an exchange, sign up to the exchange, link my bank account, and then buy it with my credit card or send it from my bank account, and then wait 7 days for that to clear, then get it off there and send it to Newegg. And I feel like that's just way too much of a hassle when I could have just pulled out my credit card and did it right then and there. So again, there's a lot of issues with cryptocurrency right now with actual payments and on-ramps, off-ramps that I think over time will get a lot easier. So the news immediately caused an XVG pump, Verge, lifting the price more than 27% in a single day. So here is the Verge pump. You can see it right here, 23.16% up at the moment, and you can see just a huge upshot, and good for anybody holding Verge. However, I just want to say that most people holding Verge are probably already in the negative, and even this 23% pump is probably still in the negative. Now, if you bought Verge 2 days ago, good for you, but aside from that, it's probably still less than maybe what you bought in a while ago. So good news for some, not enough good news for most, in my opinion. So again, I think this is good, though. I think the more that PayPal messes up and prevents people, and they're doing this more and more with right-wing speakers, that whole deal where they were like taking away PayPal. They do it because they don't like you. If you're a porn model on Pornhub, they take away your right to use PayPal. And this is terrible, just because you do something that they don't approve of, that's not illegal in any way, shape, or form. You're a right-wing, you're a left-wing speaker, they take it away. You're a Pornhub model, they take it away. And there's numerous things about this, and the more they do that, the more people are going to turn to cryptocurrency. A very small percentage of them are going to turn to cryptocurrency every single time, and that is just increasing the market for cryptocurrency and destroying PayPal slowly. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know who pressured PayPal to do that, but it's not good for PayPal, and it's only good for crypto. Now, of course, the price of the market isn't affecting that, but this over time is a good thing. Now, moving on to CoinMarketCap here, that's all the news I have. We have 8,500 Bitcoin. Again, I think somewhere below 7,900 in the next few days. And then once the major dip occurs and once the final Friday of the month, I think we'll start to see it go up from there. So prepare yourself for that. I'm not trying to give any particular price you should buy in at or should sell at, but just look at the markets. This is just something that has happened again and again and again. And if you can't recognize the pattern by now, I don't know what to say. But that's all I have for you. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video. My social media is in the description below. Make sure you follow me on those if you get the opportunity to do so. But that's all I have for you. And as usual, I will see you next time.